Hello, and welcome to Greet the Week. I am Mona Duncan, and today's topic is on changing perspective. And our perspective, of course, is the way we see something. And from my point of view, I said that the way we see something becomes reality to us. We begin to live it, that this is who I am. And so we're going to talk about maybe changing that perspective and we bring it into the full spectrum. I keep losing my little mouse. Now I see it. There we go. Okay, perspective. All we have in life is our life experiences. And anytime we come to the table or come to the meeting or come to the whatever, all that we bring with us is our life experiences thus far. And these experiences are both general, meaning that it's, with other people, and it is also specific, meaning that it kind of it has something that's very tangible, something that is individual. And when specifics understanding is confirmed by generalities, perception becomes concrete, meaning that those things that we grew up with, always hearing and always acknowledging the fact that, yeah, that's so, or whatever, then to us it becomes concrete. But when general experiences are mismatched by specifics, then we're in a position for our perspective to change. We're in a situation where we can begin to look and see that maybe that there are different ways to look at something. So often I want to talk about our mindset. And often we get in a get mindset, a get, what's in it for me? What am I going to get? And that get mindset is very common. As a matter of fact, I would suggest that it is so common that it's real subtle, and we are not always even aware of it because what's in it for me? What am I going to get if I do this? It's so subtle that we aren't even aware that we're thinking that or that it's there. It's seeing the glass as being half empty versus being half full. And if we want to look at it being exactly half, well, whether it's half or full, it's still half a glass. And in that, looking at what's being half empty, we're looking at what's missing or what's lacking, that there's not enough. And ultimately, what is needed is fulfillment, whether that is to bring it all the way on up to the top to be the full glass, or whether that is to look at the fact that it is fulfillment already. So I suggest that whenever we are looking at life or things as being half full, that there is kind of a being and a doing and a having and a giving mindset. It's like there's enough. There is enough. That there's no worries that the glass isn't completely full, because it has a tendency to give us more confidence that we can do what needs to be done. So before we go any further, I wanted to share with you some quotes that goes hand in hand with having enough. Gandhi says, there's enough for our need, but not for our greed. And maybe sometimes that can be where our perspective gets into consideration, that we're wanting more than we have enough. We have enough. And then Confucius said, only the wisest and the stupidest of men never change. So I ask you and ask myself, do you see yourself as being the wisest? Or do you see yourself as being the stupidest? Well, probably not. So there's hope for all of us, that we can become more wise and that we can see the places in which we are not knowing so that we can become more knowing. And then as Coach Vince Lombardi, I love this, he said, potential means you ain't done it yet. So what we are seeing and think we are seeing, and that this is our perception that has become our reality, Many times we need to look at, oh, wait a minute, it is not that correct. And then this is a quote from John Maxwell. He talks about change, and he says, people change only when. Now, he didn't have it together like this. It was kind of in different things, and he gave three different, so I kind of meshed them together, okay? But people change only when, and there's three dealies there. When they hurt enough, they have to. Oh, wait a minute, something's got to give. I have to change. I have to start seeing things differently. Something's got to give. There's just a must there. They learn enough, they want to. When we begin to see that, yeah, there is a way out of this, they learn enough, they want to. And then the third qualifier is they receive enough, they are able to. And that is one of the motives of me personally behind Greet the Week, is helping to share enough information that has been effective in my life. And because it has been so effective, I just think it can be in yours too, or you can use it, intone it to be what is in keeping with you, that we receive enough, we are absolutely able to change those perspective or change those thoughts or change what needs to be changed. So changing perspectives, which is, another word for is our viewpoint, our outlook. So every choice has its own set of new circumstances. And so those circumstances, it's kind of either, the devil you do know or the devil you don't know. And so you begin to look at that new circumstance, maybe the choice you want to make, but it has its own complications. That new choice brings both solutions and problems. It's kind of a both and rather than an either or. It's both and. They're both there, the solution and the problem. That if not settled, choices show up again and again. So as we can always remember, we always have choices, even if we don't think we do. We always have choices. And so they come up again and again. So consider them and begin to embrace what choice is. And I had here a quote from A Course in Miracles, that truth can only be experienced. And whenever we really begin to experience it, then can we realize that maybe it is a perception that's not fully perceived. And then as we begin to look within, not only what's out here that I can see, and if I see it, surely it's okay, but also begin to look within, as in that invisible things that we can see or not. As we can monitor our preconceived perceptions to see whether or not they have truth or error, or to check our attitude and to see if our attitudes towards something is off-putting or is it engaging. Are we, is it off-putting or is it engaging? And then as we look within, we begin to screen our responses. That are we looking for answers? Are we looking for questions, not comebacks? That whenever a perspective that we have has been challenged, that we begin to look for an answer in there. Well, how could I have not seen it that way? And maybe we need to ask some answers, but rather than getting snarky, and that's the way it's always been, let's begin to look at what really is, because truth can only be experienced. And then begin to change our mind, begin to see, I don't know, maybe so. Acknowledge those negative thoughts that come in, and then deliberately on purpose dismiss them. It may be, maybe so, maybe no. Maybe there's more information that's needed. And then it's looking for the root of our emotions. And what is it that's causing that emotion to be, as opposed to replacing it with a greater potential, that we can, again, back with the either or, it's a both and. We can both have an input that is different from each other, but you know what? We can still be we can still be friends, and we still have worth and value as individuals. And then this practice is profoundly life-changing as we begin to change our mind, as we begin to use, or even just to question it. Is this true or is it not true? Is it reality or am I living in the illusion? As you know, illusion, all is illusion. There's a lot of uh, faith situations that talk about the illusion and seeing am I seeing what is not true? So again, on changing perspectives, another viewpoint is the viewpoint, the side we take, the whatever our take is on that particular topic. So we need to make a decision. And this not deciding can keep us stuck. And wrong decisions can be examined and corrected. We can, but those indecisions cause stagnation. And we just we're not growing. We may be receding. We're just not growing. So we need to renew, or possibly think about renewing our environment. That the space in which you live and in which you work impact the way you see things. And so if we can change the venue, many times we can change our perspective. Move the furniture, add new accents, replace outdated items. As we can begin to see that small changes give the opportunity to think differently, to see it from a different point of view. And then a commitment to periodic walkabouts can be very invigorating. Go in another room, go outside, walk around the block, take a little journey, as we can begin to renew our environment and see things differently, and even talk with other people. And then maybe using a Zoom factor. Now, I'm not talking about Zoom. We're very familiar with it today, of zooming in and connecting with, but I'm talking about the Zoom factor as in putting the big picture or the way out there, or bringing it in where it's closer to see. So that whenever we're overwhelmed with something that's tiny and kind of an insignificant detail, as we can begin to take that and zoom it out to a bigger picture as to what it will grow into, as to what it can become, can be very invigorating. And then when those demands of life are overwhelming, as we can take that zoom and we can project ahead as to what getting through this will accomplish. And then looking ahead to relaxation, to retirement, to travel, to new income, to writing more books, to whatever. And then as we can mentally see the results of our current struggles, and again, kind of zooming out to see when I get there, that whenever I become the person that I know that is deeply inside that I can become. And then cautiously, deliberately, on purpose, we want to consciously relax. We want to, relaxation, not being uptight, is directly connected to constructive critical thinking. And I know we don't like maybe critical input sometimes, but sometimes it's very vital that we listen critically to what the input is. So, and then develop an even though mantra. Even though I'm frustrated with this, I know that I can see things in a different way. Even though this has been very difficult, I am a person of worth and value, and I know that it can overcome. Even though I'm engulfed with frustration, I lovingly accept that I am a person of infinite worth and value, and that I release my failures and just begin then to release. And think about what you think about. And do it consciously, deliberately, on purpose. What am I thinking about this? Rather than just automatically dismissing it or automatically embracing it because that's the way it's always been. So soil will receive whatever seeds, whether they're sown there deliberately on purpose or whether they're not, because the land itself does not care what seeds are sown. But we do become what we think. And often, I mean, we manifest those thoughts that are continually there, whether that is improvement or whether it is sliding back, whether it is whatever thought we nurture, that thought's going to continually return and it will manifest. And that's positive or negative. So think about what you think about and do that multiple times a day, multiple times. And then make your thoughts encouraging and positive, both about you and about others. That there is improvement. There are choices. We do have choices, and that we can make them. And then realizing and thinking what you think about, we are not static individuals. We are continually being exposed to new information. But again, are we going to be exposed to them with open eyes, open ears, an open heart, an open mind? Or is it going to stay closed? And then becoming aware of our thoughts and be open to that change that that perspective may show us. And so here then is a quote by Tony Luma that I thought was very powerful and went hand in hand with changing perspectives, because this was his input and his idea into something. He said, to be fully appreciated, I had to plainly be me. I didn't have to act like anyone else. I wouldn't be overlooked if I was true to myself. I just had to be the best me I could be. It may not sound like much to anyone else, but it was one of the biggest revolutions of my life. And I would say that that is equally one of the biggest revolutions of my life. And that is to be who you are, but to continually think about your thoughts and to see if it is one of illusion or if it is one of reality, and if it is productive or non productive. So thank you very much and many blessings.